Looking at the shape of the roof, it kind of explains the name butterfly. It's the wings of a butterfly. The way we designed the house is that we compare the house actually with a human body. Like you have your skeleton, you know, this house has a frame. It has a steel frame, it's a galvanized steel frame, and that carries the house. The house is suspended from the floor, the frame carries itself, it carries the house, it carries the roof. And then actually, like we have our skin, the house has the walls, the external walls, the internal walls, and it has the organs, and the organs is actually, it is like fill-in elements the customer can actually choose from. That is how it was designed. So you have your kitchen, you can have it in any storage you want. It is the bathroom. It has a solar panel, it has a solar boiler. In the near future, we wanted to also look at seeing if you could do like a mini treatment plant, and so that wastewater would be treated proper, recycling of rainwater. So that's what we all had in mind when we started the design in 2014.
What is it that inspired this concept house?
There is a contact that I have in Netherlands.
Okay.
It's a Dutch architect who's been traveling in most of and living in some of the African countries.
Okay.
So he knows the continent pretty well. And we got in touch with each other with the idea of trying to do something towards housing in sub-Sahara Africa.
Okay.
Because there is a clear deficiency on housing, affordable housing. And he has this idea that also because of climate, that anything sub-Saharan you can kind of use, you should be able to use a kind of a design concept that works in most African countries. So the concept of the house is a sustainable house, as I said, and it is a greenhouse. It's sustainable in terms of, say, the design and production. You can think about the type of materials that you use, how you produce, how you build the house. But it's also sustainable very much in terms of the operating, so the living experience. And the design of the house is in such a way that you can extend the modules horizontally, but also vertically. Yeah. So you can actually do a duplex with the structure that we designed for this particular house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, interesting. We worked very much in designing something that can be built fast. If you were to build this as an estate, and I'm talking about like multiple units, minimum of 10, 15 units, it will take 6 weeks to build one unit.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is very fast.
Yeah.
You know, and that is also sustainable again to build fast, and you have your desired effect almost immediately.
Comparison to say if you're building regular brick and mortar building, that's going to take at least months.
Yeah.
To...
That's something else because of the materials chosen. The house is a very, very solid house. So although it only takes you 6 weeks to build, and by the way, the building is all dry methods, dry construction.
Okay.
You know, the only area where you have to do a little bit of water mixing is the foundation pads.
Okay.
And like this unit of 60 square meters only has 9 pads.
Okay.
And they're relatively small pads. And so that is also why the construction period is so short. Then in terms of durability, well, when we actually built this house and we tried to market it, we were actually telling people this house will last you 50, 60 years. That's what we said. But personally, I've been living in this house because this house, as I said, it was finished in 2016 as a prototype, but it was kind of vacant for a couple of years, and I actually decided myself to move into this place.
Why did I test it out?
Why don't I test it out? I think this was 2019, I think, that I decided to do that, 2020, 2019. So I've been living here now for 3-4 years, and I must say, also having really used the house, I mean, this house will last 100 years plus.
Oh, okay. So you're upping the guarantee.
Absolutely,
oh,
absolutely.
Wow.
100 years plus. You may want to change the colors from time to time.
Yeah.
You may have to change your bathroom, you know, but which bathroom lasts that long?
Yeah.
You may want to change your kitchen after a few years, but I think if you look at the durability of the house, it's a very durable product. The next generation can still live in this house without any problem. Yeah.
Talking more about the design, what took precedence when you were thinking of a design? Was it the functionality? Was it the spatial layout, the aesthetics, the sustainability? I know all these are design considerations, but what would you say took precedence?
Well, I think what really took precedence is to find a solution that is going to last And in that sense, and obviously everything needs to be sustainable nowadays. Only you do not hear the word sustainable much in Nigeria, unfortunately. But we thought about it 10 years ago, but even today we're not hearing it much. It should, and so it had to be affordable. I think that was one of the first things we thought. But while we were doing the design, we were actually thinking about that word, what is affordable, you know, and for most people, the word affordable means cheap, you know. And if you say affordable housing, then people have in mind that you can build a house for 8 or 9 million naira. Well, I can tell you, a house for 8 or 9 million naira doesn't last. You know, you're building crap, basically. You're wasting your money. You are
going to be spending so much on maintenance.
Going to be spending so much over and over again. And this house, as I mentioned, it is durable. There is very little to no maintenance. It has interesting enough, it has a built-in ventilation system, natural ventilation system. As I just mentioned, the house is actually lifted from the ground because there's an airspace below the house. There's half a meter airspace below the house. And the roof is, unlike most roofs, aluminium. This one is a steel roof. So the roof gets very hot. And that means that there's a big temperature difference between the airspace below the house and the surface temperature of the roof. And by having grills built into the house, there is actually openings made in the ground floor slab and grills in the internal walls, and there is ventilation grills in the ceiling, and that actually together forms a system that allows cool air from below the house to run through the internal space and to draw up. So it takes the hot air away from the house. So interesting enough, as soon as we built the prototype, we tested the temperature in this house throughout the day, and we noticed that in the early morning, the temperature of this house is more or less the same as the temperature of a standard FHA 3-bedroom house. And throughout the day, we saw that this house still remained fairly cool. And at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon towards the evening, we had a temperature difference of 6 to 7 degrees centigrade between the FHA house and this. So this house remained cool because of the materials that we used, in particular the earth blocks, but also there's insulation in the floor, there's insulation in the roof, and there's the natural ventilation system that is built in. And 6 degrees centigrade is a considerable difference. And you really notice it.
Especially in this kind of...
Yeah. We have I have 2 1-horsepower units installed. It was after I moved in. And I'm actually using those units, say, during the month of, say, March, April, May, when the temperature is getting really hot. But there are months, say, towards the end of the rainy season, that I do not switch them on for weeks.
Who is it that you envisioned would live here? Like, who is this person? What's their lifestyle like? And how does this particular house enhance their lifestyle?
Well, we were thinking of, low middle class incomers. So we're looking at young couples, engineers, people that have a fairly decent salary, and possibly with the help of, say, mortgage banks or help of the federal government with mortgage schemes to actually invest their money into something that is going to last, rather buying themselves a rubbish house that they have to start doing maintenance from day one. At the same time, what we noticed is that there has been a kind of a disconnect between the wishes or the objectives of the architects. We had a vision in mind, and we had a technical solution for what we wanted to do. And this is the result of that. But the result of that is ultimately it is something that is, say, in building cost, twice as much as you would pay for, say, a 2 or 3 bedroom FHA house. So there was initially a lot of interest, but when they heard that the house is cost twice as much, people seem to forget straight away that this house is very comfortable to live in. It requires so little to no maintenance cost, even running costs. I mean, compare yourself having AC on just a couple of months or a year, or having your AC on 24/7. Look at your power consumption. Look at the cost of that.
So do you think it's a case of not presenting the numbers properly, in the sense of that you're presenting the numbers of this is what it costs to build this and this is what it costs to build a standard house, whereas what the actual cost to the unit is, it's a lot larger than that.
Yes, maybe if we would have 8 years ago, 9 years ago, if we would have had like a marketer among ourselves, the result may have been different today. On the other hand, I think there is a general conception in in many African countries, and I think in particular in Nigeria, is that people don't want to think too much forward. They do not want to think of, okay, let me do a solid investment and let me be sure that I have a house where I can stay in. My kids can even stay there.
Yeah.
And people generally are not thinking like that.
We don't think too long term because there's just a lot of general insecurity.
That is what it is. I think the leadership is not giving us enough stability in this country to make these investments. Yes, you may now ask, okay, is there a way forward? What could we do with this concept? How could we develop it further? Well, actually, prior to having this discussion, I was actually thinking about it, actually an hour before this meeting, that for this particular unit, we have imported like 40% of the material, as against 60% local material. But ideally, you want to make that, well, you want to shift that, you want to have ideally 100% local, or maybe 90% at least, you know. But there is some major redesign work to be done, because like the skeleton of this house is a steel structure, you know, it is a steel carcass. There is no steel manufacturing in Nigeria, so that is a big problem. In Nigeria, there's a lot of people think, especially the engineers, they think in concrete, they don't think in steel. But using concrete is very much non-sustainable. I mean, the cement industry is one of the biggest polluters in the world, you know. So I do not think that if you are thinking of doing a house or designing a house that could be kind of mass-produced, that would be the solution. So there is serious thinking to be done, you know. Another thing that I was not thinking about at all 10 years ago is the use of wood. And happily enough, over the last 10 years, if you look in what's happening at schools and academic institutions, is that architects are very much kind of, well, let's say forced to also look at wood as material to construct. Look at bamboo, for instance. You know, bamboo is a very strong material. I mean, you see building propping up entire floors during the construction with bamboo, and it shows how strong the material is. And bamboo grows very fast. I'm not saying that we should replace the steel here for bamboo, but it shows that we may have to do a complete rethink, you know. So in that sense, it was a good exercise that we did 10 years ago, which we just felt very much after 2 years of lobbying, let me say between 2016 and 2018. We had 2 full years of good lobbying. We spoke to developers, we spoke to local governments, we spoke to private investors to see how we could pull off some of these houses. And actually the only area where little projects were done with this concept, with this butterfly house, in South Africa. Here we had colleagues in South Africa, and they actually did manage with that same building concept to pull off some mini estates.
Really?
Interesting. But we kind of lost contact. So, and they also know that after 2 years we just stopped lobbying. But maybe we have to downgrade our requirements, the design requirements, and with the kind of Rolls-Royce sustainable, so-called affordable house that we designed 8-9 years ago. Maybe we should go now for a smaller Volkswagen, as the Nigerians say, but that still works fine and which is more affordable.
I think it's time for a tour.
Okay, let's walk around the house. From this viewpoint, you can see the butterfly house externally. As we said, the system is designed with modules in mind, modules of 30 square meter. This is 2 modules, 30 square meter.
Okay.
It is,
so they're positioned alongside each other?
Yes. They're 5 meters deep and 6 meters wide.
Okay.
So this is designed as a 2-bedroom. You could even design this as a small 3-bedroom within the 60 square meter. Looking at the shape of the roof, it kind of explains the name butterfly. You can see the galvanized steel elements. It's a high quality steel. Unfortunately, it has to be imported. They do produce this in South Africa. And these are the 9 cubes that carries that's actually the foundation to the house.
Yeah.
We have 9 concrete cubes that carries the weight of the entire house.
One thing that I haven't asked you about actually is about sort of the movability of this, because it seems like it's not too permanent. You know, like if you wanted to, say I was like, I like this, but I want it in Kano state. So is that something that...
Yes, you can actually reuse most of your elements.
Okay.
The system is this very simple system. It works like Meccano. If you have heard of Meccano, it's bolt and nut, you put everything together. Yeah. You can also dismantle it again and reuse it elsewhere.
Okay.
So in that sense, the skeleton, even the walls could be reused because there's no mortar between the two blocks.
So it's a completely dry system.
Yes, dry system.
Okay.
So these blocks they slot into each other without mortar.
Okay.
So in that sense, you could reuse the full structure, the doors, the windows, the roof, the external walls, all could be reused. I think one of the things that you may have to redo is obviously the internal tiling, painting obviously. And the main structure is guaranteed for 100 years. 100 years plus.
100 years plus guarantee.
I think you were going to ask me something about
I was going to ask you about what the anchor is. Is this some sort of anchor into the ground?
Well, it's not to hold down the house in case of huge storm. It's just something playful. If you know, because of the shape of the roof and the single gutter that we have in the center, we did not want to have a solid rainwater pipe coming down. And be like stand in the way, and we didn't want it to come down to be fixed onto the external wall. And this is done a lot in the 60s with a lot of modern houses, because water has this tendency to stick. If you put water on the surface, it sticks on the surface. So that is only one outlet of the entire gutter, and the water would gently run down into this pit.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
But it's nothing structural.
So it just runs all the way down?
Yes.
Interesting.
It was fairly expensive because things were really imported one by one.
Well, as a prototype, obviously.
Yes, and also, once you do 10 units or 20 units, it also brings down the cost. So this was just for us, it costed us 80 million to build this.
That's 18. Okay.
Yeah, 18. This is compressed earth. It is basically laterite. It's local laterite. So that is also, again, one of these ideas is that you can, wherever you build your estate, you use the local laterite. You see the way it has been profiled.
So it just slots into each other.
One caves into the other, slots into the other.
Okay, I see that.
No mortar required.
That's clever.
On the outside you leave it like this, on the inside you plaster it off.
So is the inside plastered on directly, or
directly
is there a plasterboard?
Directly. Yeah. But this is not our invention. This is there's a South African company that's producing those machines. The only thing what we did is that we actually hired some of these machines for this prototype, and we changed the mold. So we have adapted the mold to our own use. So we made like a steel mold. So we adjusted their machine to build this one. Yeah, and we did it in such a way that this block fits directly into this profile. You see? So it was the size of the structure steel that determined the actual size of the block that we used. It is shady, it is comfortable. It's nice for the early morning coffee. So that's my sit out with the upside down flower pot. That's my table. And I live in it.
Clearly.
So below the roof you have ventilation grills throughout. And that allows the hot air that comes through the ceiling to disappear as fast as possible.
Okay.
You come into the house, and as we said, the whole internally there's no load-bearing elements, so you can have your internal partitions wherever you want. The house could be organized for either a family or a couple or a bachelor, obviously depending on how many units you have. So I live here as a bachelor. I have a 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. Fairly large living room, open kitchen. And I must say also because of the fact that there's no internal load-bearing elements, it gives a kind of a light feel. You can see that the walls they are fine, they are light. We also wanted to have the units having a feel of spaciousness. So although 60 square meter is not a very big house, it still feels kind of spacious. And I think it's also because of a lot of the light that is coming in. A vertical window always allows a lot more light to come into your house than horizontal windows. So the setup is very simple. You can actually see the ventilation grills. There's one here just behind this couch. And that one is through the internal wall connected to an opening in the suspended floor slab. So the air is fairly fairly cold. And once this starts heating up, then you can actually feel, even standing here, you can feel the temperature difference. And you can start, especially after say 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you literally feel the flow of air, and that cools down the temperature inside the house. So there's 2 bedrooms. One is a small bedroom, the other one is the master bedroom, which is fairly large. They're also light and airy, and the 2 bedrooms share 1 bathroom. And the bathroom it's like one of the organs of the house. The bathroom, we bought it as a as a unit, so we did not have to fix anything. There was no plumber sitting underneath for years or for months to fix washing basins and WCs. It came even including the shower curtain. Can you imagine? Although I think in the future we should look at more like a flat pack type of solution, because this literally came as a box, as an element, but that takes a lot of space, and it also came here. It arrived damaged because of the hollowness, I guess, and
the handling.
The handling.
Oh, okay. It's mechanically ventilated.
Yes,
is it?
yes, yes.
Okay. And is it sufficient?
Yes, it's sufficient.
Okay.
Not a problem. Yeah. And this is like a small cabinet. We can actually look at the back of the bathroom, and you can actually see that all the elements are welded together, put together in the factory. Well, this came from China, so all this was done in a factory in China. So we did not use any plumber to fix all this. All this was done.
Were you involved in the designing of the MEP, or?
No, that was one of our colleagues did that in the Netherlands, and he just ordered it like that. He designed it and ordered it. This is here now so many years, and it has never given any issue whatsoever. And the entire house has one water supply connection and one waste connection. And from the water supply, it goes back to the kitchen.
Well, that's very efficient.
Yeah, and this goes into this cubicle, and from the WC, it goes to the washing basin, it goes to the shower, and it all goes together into one waste unit, waste pipe.
So it
is very simple.
This compartment is back to back the bathroom
kitchen
and the
bathroom,
kitchen.
correct.
You have your supply and your waste
Yeah.
going into that cupboard
Yeah.
on both sides. Okay.
So these are non-bearing walls, plasterboard walls.
So every internal wall is a plasterboard wall?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's it's very easy building. The 4-inch walls. The 4-inch walls consist of two plasterboard sheets on both sides and an aluminium frame in between.
Okay.
You can see that the brick that we're going to see on the outside is just being plastered on the inside. Well, as I said, this was done 9 years ago. You don't see any crack, nothing. And these are again here the ventilation slots that allow for natural ventilation. This is the second bedroom with the bunk bed.
And a drum set.
Wow.
Who plays the drums?
We perform for you guys.
Give us a little battle.
And the piano.
And the piano. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And we have more grills. So we have the ventilation grills in every room.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Both in the ceiling and in the walls.
Correct. Each room has ventilation. actually see these are all the accessories you can have inside and around the house.
Yeah.
It's like buying a car, and you can get the car with so many different accessories.
Yeah.
So, you know, and this is locally available.
Yeah.
But that is the good thing about it. It's locally available. You can grow it for your house. Where federal government was building, you could build this type of things for 12 million at that time, 15 million.
So that's not.
So it's not really twice as much.
Yeah,
as
it's
I
not.
said.
Yeah.
No, that's correct. But there was a factor, say 50% more expensive.
Okay.
Because all this importation is also Wahala. It's not just, it is the cost, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Because I think the cost for this house, I think the steel structure, I think it's somewhere like 28% or 27%. Would you like me to take the shot? You want to come yourself?
I was fly home, and.
But the fair house actually.
Oh.
It doesn't really matter.
Oh. Okay. Oh, I sat there the whole time hoping that this thing was recording.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this design discussion and would like to see more, please subscribe, like, and share.